Good morning. You can see that we have our new airplane, the RB-14 here, and something that we've put a lot of work into. We're really proud of this airplane, and we're pleased to have you here with us, and thanks for your interest in the airplane. And of course, we'd like to be able to take everybody for a demo flight, but that's just not going to be possible. But through the magic of video, we'll be able to kind of walk you through a virtual demo flight here. The purpose of this flight is to just kind of get you familiar with the airplane, to let you know some of the features of it, and hopefully, you'll get to know it and be excited about it as we are. Okay, got the engine started. Everything's stable here. We've got our temperatures and pressures are coming up, and they're all within what they should be at this point in the flight. So we get to various phases of the flight. I'll be able to talk about certain features of the airplane. And so what I hope you get out of this flight is that you enjoy the flight, that you get a lot of your questions answered, and you learn something about the airplane, and hopefully get excited about it and be as proud of it and happy about it as we are. You'll notice as we taxi here that I can put the airplane where I want it pretty much with just the use of only the rudders. I don't need to ride the brakes or any such thing as that. Of course, as you slow down, you need to use a brake a little bit if you want to pivot into a tight spot or something like that, but just riding the brakes, not necessary. We'll pull into the run-up area here and get our tail pointed off into the grass so we're not prop washing anybody. Real easy just to pivot on a wheel with the cast-ring nose wheel. Okay, pre-takeoff checklist. We'll sweep out the controls. Instruments, we've got the altimeter set for the field elevation of 200 feet. All our T's and B's are looking good at this point at idle. Got the left tank selected. Both are full.
Aurora traffic, Skyhawk 172 Juliet Victor, turning crosswind 35, Aurora.
Flaps are set for takeoff. Trim is set for takeoff. We did both of those on the roll as we were taxiing out. Canopies set, and we'll do the run-up. Like to use about 1800 RPM. We'll cycle the mags, and this engine just has conventional magnetos on it.
72 Juliet Victor, turning downwind 35, Aurora.
And we'll cycle the Hartzell blended airfoil propeller. And again, all of our temperatures and pressures, voltage, amps, everything's looking good. One more check of the canopy. Turn our and air fuel pump on. Mixture rich, and we'll taxi up to the hold bars. Traffic, experimental 214 Victor Alpha is departing 35, left turn out after departure. So this will be fun. We'll take off and let the airplane fly right off. We'll climb at best angle and then transition to best rate and then to a nice cruise climb. All right, good to go. Let's go. Capture our takeoff attitude, and away we go in 70 knots. And as the flaps are coming up,
traffic 172 Juliet Victor is turning left base 35, full stop, Aurora.
Transition to a best rate speed of about 90 knots. Get the throttle back to 25 inches, the prop back to 2500. The airport boundary and already at pattern altitude. Okay, we can turn off the fuel pump. and the fuel pressure is fine. And we can transition to a more comfortable kind of a cruise climb here. And we'll get the power and prop back to 24 squared. A little bit of bumps. And we can lean the engine out a little bit. We're below 75% power. So we're climbing here at about 110 knots. We're still making a 1,000 foot per minute climb. And yet already you can start to see over the nose. You can see that we've got a nice view out of the cabin of this airplane. As we're climbing, we'll just do some nice turns. We'll just kind of get familiar with the airplane as we're heading out to the practice area.
Traffic not available.
And you can see I'm just using fingertip pressure on the stick. Great visibility out ahead, above, and to the side. And we'll probably go on up to about 4,000 feet. That should put us above the haze layer. So I'm getting our bugs set up here for the autopilot. Those will come in handy later.
Approaching altitude.
So the modern ethos these days, just real simple, real intuitive, easy to navigate your way through what's really an incredible amount of functionality. And we're not quite to the top of the haze layer at 4,000, so why don't we head on up to 4,500? And I just moved the bug again, so we'll get another altitude call from Skyview.
Approaching altitude.
And while we're out here, we'll just do some nice steep turns before we transition into cruise. So these are fun. We'll do a turn to the left. We'll start with about a 45-degree bank. And you can see what a hazy day it is here in Oregon. We can just real effortlessly flick it back around the other direction. And steepen up the turn a little bit, just for fun.
Traffic not available.
This is about a 60-degree bank turn. Pretty fun. The stick forces here on this airplane are tailored a little bit more towards the cruising side of things, so a little bit heavier, a little bit more firm, but still very nice handling, very snappy handling characteristics with the airplane. So we're coming up on our 5,000 foot target altitude. And we'll go ahead and couple up the autopilot, turn on altitude mode and heading mode. And the airplane will just kind of get itself set up here. We're headed basically southbound at 5,000 feet. Now,
Not available.
I'll get us set up for 24 inches and 2,400 RPM. So about a 75% cruise. The engine has a leaning mode. So it helps us with our leaning so we can keep our eyes outside the cockpit looking for traffic. And Skyview's saying we need a little bit of trim. And so we're pretty well set up here. In cruise, the autopilot's flying the airplane and holding our heading, holding our altitude. We've got 50 gallons of fuel on board, and we're burning less than 10 gallons an hour. Let's go ahead and try some slow flight and have some fun with the handling qualities of the airplane again. I'm going to disconnect the autopilot.
Autopilot disconnect.
So we'll get ourselves turned around here as we transition into slow flight. We'd like to fly the pattern about 70 knots in this airplane.
Leaving altitude.
And I'll leave a little bit of power in just to maintain altitude. And we've got the flaps in the fully retracted position for cruise. And we're coming up on 70 knots. Again, the airplane's real solid, real stable. Of course, with the flat atmosphere we have today with all this haze, it's pretty smooth. Very smooth ride, in fact. I'm going to open the vent a little bit. We've got an outside air temperature of 18, so that's pretty warm. We've got an inversion layer going. Again, not surprising with what you're seeing out here. Okay, so we're stable at 70 knots. Nice slow flight. Even though we're pitched up with the flaps retracted here at 70 knots, still a nice view over the nose. Nice view, of course, out to the sides. So let's try some turns here. And we'll go to the right first this time. So real easy. Possible to get, what is this, about a 30-degree bank here. Real easy to roll out on a heading. And we'll try a little bit steeper turn to the right. Excuse me, to the left. I have the hardest time with that. So we'll get about a 45-degree bank going here. There's our stall warner. Nice, easy. These are fun. It feels like you're turning within just a couple of wingspans.
For our traffic helicopter 429 Whiskey Charlie 5 to the south, inbound for midfield ramp, Aurora.
So let's try some stalls. So we'll keep the power where it is. We'll just pitch up to a nice nose high attitude. We'll let the speed bleed off.
Altitude.
So there goes 60 knots. Here comes our stall warner. A little bit of right rudder, a little bit of shake. And we're so far forward that the airplane really won't break for us. You can see a little bit of wing rock. You know, nothing exciting. I'm barely moving my feet. And we just fly away from it. Let's try that in a turn. Comes our stall warner. Almost 30 degrees of bank here. There's our airframe shake. And it's just bobbing up and down. In fact, rolls wings level. Release the back pressure, and away we go. Let's try it in a turn to the right.
For our traffic helicopter 429 Whiskey Charlie, straight in runway 35, Aurora.
Here comes our stall warner. About a little over 30 degrees of bank this time. Coming back with the stick. There's a little airframe shake, a little bit of bobbling, and it wants to roll wings level. I'm not moving my hands or feet, and we just fly out of it. Really nice handling qualities. The airplane is, I have to confess, near the forward limit here. So we've got a good situation where the CG is nice and far forward. But even with aft CG, the handling qualities are very nice. Of course, the stick forces come down as with any airplane. So let's grab flaps and see what we can experience here. And I've got a little bit extra power in to compensate for the drag of the flaps. Okay, they're all the way out. And we have a flap position indicator on the panel, which is nice. but nothing like looking out and confirming that everything's where it should be. So with flaps out, we'll hold 65 knots. I'm a little slower than that right at the moment. And a little more power to compensate for the extra drag. First thing you'll notice, we have a nice view over the nose. The flaps, I pitched the fuselage down a little bit more. So there's 65 knots, and we'll try to turn to the left. .30 of bank. And again, it feels like just a couple of wingspans that we're turning within.
Traffic
Real
permitting.
snappy. And we'll go a little bit more steep this time to the right. We'll probably get a stall warner. There we go. There's almost 45 degrees. The airplane's just really nice handling here. You can see that I use a little more rudder to coordinate the turns, rolling in and rolling out. But the nose is just cutting right through the horizon. And we're back to level. And after I get my airspeed back where I wanted it. So yeah, let's try some stalls with the flaps extended. So straight ahead. Kind of pitch up to an attitude, we'll hold that attitude as the speed leads off. There's our stall warner. A little bit of right rudder as we get slower here. Keep the ball in the middle. It just wants to hang on.
Road traffic.
And what is that? Maybe a 30-degree roll to the right. I didn't move my feet or hands at all. Again, let's try it in a right turn. So about 30 degrees of bank. And we'll just pull the nose up. There's our stall warner. Stick coming back, stick coming back. And there's that left roll that we saw before. Okay guys, let's try it in a left turn to the left. See what happens. Stall warner. A little bit of airframe shake, and then just a nice easy roll off a little bit to the continuing that left turn. So overall, a really nicely behaved airplane, easy to fly, nicely controllable. Which means that we can do a lot of nice aerobatics in this airplane. It is part of the mission. It's not the prime mission for this airplane, but it is a capability that the airplane has. And so with the wonders of modern video editing, I'll go ahead and get properly attired for some aerobatic flight. All right, that's better. Got my helmet on. Put the visor down. Wearing a parachute. Got Nomex. And we got plenty of altitude here. Nice comment here on the headroom. So even with the helmet, I'm not that short. I'm wearing a seat bottom parachute. Lots of cabin room. We got enough room for average, normal, even a little bit taller than average person with a seat bottom parachute. Also, we're solo with less than full fuel, so we're well below a 1,900 pound aerobatic gross weight with the airplane. All right, so let's start up with some clearing turns, and then we'll work into maybe a wing over
Not available.
or lazy 8. Looking for traffic.
Cheese.
About a 3G pulp.
Cheese.
We'll go back the other way.
Cheese. Cheese.
About 3.5 Gs. All right, we'll do a nice little lazy 8 here. Going through 90 degrees of turn, wings 90 degrees to the horizon. 90 degrees to the horizon. And we'll just string this into a nice little roll. And we'll do it a little bit faster this time to the right. And the ailerons will do that little bump once you get to the near full deflection. And we'll execute a turn here.
G's. G's. G's.
And we'll try a nice little hesitation roll. I don't think Bob Hoover has anything to worry about.
G's. 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 G's.
And a nice snappy roll to the right. And we'll try a Cubity.
G's. G's. Oil pressure. G's. 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 Traffic not available.
And this is kind of fun, a little vertical scissors.
G's. 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 G's.
All right, that was fun. Well, let's get changed back to our straight and level close. Ooh, that was fun. All right, let's head back to home. Yes, now's a nice time to talk about the features of the airplane. Standard, the airplane will come with a single screen and with our modular switches and fuse panels. Fuses are mounted down here. This GPS and this D180 are really here just for the flight test. They make nice data recorders for us. So that's what they're here for. But there will be an option for a second screen on the right.
6125, parting runway 35, over traffic.
And as we've already talked about, we've got the autopilot that's an option. A nice feature to have, reduces pilot workload. We also have a lighting option, which I have on right now, a landing light. We also have LED nav strobes that are an option available for the airplane. So between all of these options and the standard features, it makes it just a really nice, very well-equipped, very affordable airplane. There will also be an option for second comm radio. We've built in positioning for 2 antennas. We've got provision for a transponder antenna as well as a UAT antenna for ADS-B. As that system gains maturity and gains more widespread use. We've got power outlets standard in the airplane, so you've got an auxiliary power, a cigarette lighter power adapter. We've got audio jacks, 8-inch audio jacks for both recording and for sound output and for sound input. So we really think that this airplane will provide a lot of capability for a lot of people right out of the box, so there won't be any real, kind of having to adapt things. We've tried to anticipate what people want and to provide the provisions, put provisions in for all of these features that folks will want. Okay, we're approaching the entry point for the 45 leg for left traffic at runway 35 at Aurora. 35 is our calm wind runway. So we've got the fuel pump on, we've got our landing light on, we've got the ballast tank selected, and we'll take care of the prop and the mixture as we get closer.
Aurora traffic, experimental 214 Victor Alpha is entering left downwind 35.
Okay, there goes the prop and mixture all the way in. And we'll fly a nice tight pattern.
Aurora traffic, Skylane 32 Tango departing 35 to the north, Aurora.
Opposite the numbers, we'll take the power back to idle. Maintain altitude, and we have 70 knots. Flaps coming out.
Aurora traffic, 214 Victor Alpha, left base 35.
Holding our 70 knots. Powered idle. We've easily got the field made here, so we'll drop full flaps.
Aurora traffic, Cessna 685 rolling off and turning left base on 35 Aurora.
Aurora traffic, Skylane 32 Tango, upwind 35, 1,200 climbing, departure to the north, Aurora.
And we easily made the first turnoff. And as we taxi back to the hangar, just thanks for coming along with me for this flight. And hope it answered a bunch of questions you had about the airplane. And if you have any more questions about the airplane, of course, we're happy to answer any questions that you have or try to let you know what we were thinking when we designed the airplane.